What's going on, y'all? It's Greg. Greg said it. Back with another one, just another day. And man, I'm kind of excited here. A lot of good things going on. Life has a lot of different things that we all, for the most part, people have different aspects of their life. They have different interests, different hobbies, passions, whatever, for different reasons. Sometimes you just have stuff that's cultural. Sometimes you have stuff that you kind of grew up around. Some stuff you actually did, and you have a relationship with it and experience with it. And that's why it is with football with me. Football has an interesting relationship with me. I played football since I was like 6 years old. Played up to college. And it's been an interesting journey. I also played baseball pretty much the same amount of time. And I've never been like a super duper just diehard person. Never got to that point for one reason or another. But I do have a passion. As far as sports and the fundamentals and the foundation of it and my experience. It is my experience. And I played at a high level. And coached it a little bit. But I'm just not a diehard. I got to watch every game. So it's interesting for me to have this channel. This channel is an outlet, especially when it comes to Coach Prime. If it weren't for Coach Prime, I probably wouldn't be doing this. Because it just ain't just talking about football, but just really supporting Coach Prime since Jackson State and all the talking points surrounding it. That's what attracts me. And that's what I've said before. And just the totality of the situation is what gives me the connection to it. Because it's more than football. And with that being said, there's a lot of other great channels out there that I look at that they are really more diehard football. They go more into the nuances. Not that I can't, it's just that I don't have the interest in the time to really dig into it. But I kind of collaborate and I appreciate what they do, and I bring more just to talk, right? And my perspective is my perspective. That's why you all are here. Greg said it. And I was looking at this channel. It's not a new channel, but probably fairly new compared to a lot of the other ones. Is it Buffed Prime? Shout out to those guys, man. Those guys I might have heard of before, but those guys really did an in-depth film breakdown on what the defense might look like up under the new DC, was Robert Livingston. And I looked at that, and it may have been a few days ago, prior to me filming this. And I said, wow, these some up-and-coming guys. Just crossed over 1,000 subscribers. Y'all might want to check them out. I don't know how often they do the film thing, but that could be their thing because they really did a good breakdown. It was two guys. And they broke down how some interesting things that I think as a Buff fan, you really would want to see. Because right now we don't really have nothing to go on because he's never been a DC coordinator. So people are like, oh, he's new. He's not been at the college level. But man, when you look at the stuff they were doing, let me tell you something. We thought we had some talent. When you look at the type of stuff that he's schematically can do, if he just bring what he's already doing, I know he may tweak it or whatever, but if he just bring what he's done and perfect it and what they've done successful at Cincinnati, probably with less overall talent. Because Colorado has talent, contrary to popular belief. With the personnel that they have, they just got a lot better. We was trying to figure out who's going to play what and how we're going to use all our players. It is not a mistake this guy was hired. How he used the schemes to confuse people, to make people look like what they're not. Like you don't know who's a linebacker, who's a line, who's a D. Everybody standing up. You don't know what they're going to do. It will work perfect. It will work perfect with the personnel because we got some people at linebacker who is kind of hybrid, like a Trevor Woods. We got some guys that we want to see get in the game, but they're not quite the safety far, back, but they closer to the ball. We want them closer to the ball. We want to be able to kind of mix it up where people can't kind of key in on them. We got all those wonderful edge rushers and tackles, and we want to kind of do different combos and mix it up. His scheme would be perfect. Well, we want to move some edges on the inside and some tackles on the outside. We got some tackles that we feel can play the edge as well, like a Shane Coates. We talked about that with Bishop. The way this scheme works and how we running stunts and all of that, you can move people inside and outside. You bringing people close to the ball. Then the last minute they dispersing to coverage. You don't know what coverage they're running because it looked like everybody coming. you know, like they was doing to us. Like you kind of seeing that with like UCLA, when them guys were standing up and, you know, our line was just let them run through. Like, oh, we don't know what's going on. That's a whole nother story. And the line was just confused. Now we can do that. This guy got that times 10. We got secondary coming up. They blitzing. You don't know if they blitzing or dropping into coverage. You got those little robbers sitting back there jumping underneath those drag routes we struggled with last year. Like, why they can't pass it on? They got robbers sitting back there. They got guys who like they blitzing gonna drop back into them underneath coverage and pick it off. It's gonna be ugly. Imagine Shiloh with the threat of blitzing and then dropping back into coverage right up underneath like he kind of like what he did when he jumped that route at CSU, but even more schematic about it. Imagine these guys moving around the Cameron Silver and Krez, the little ball hawk, he coming up to the line. You don't know if he blitzing or dropping or blitzing. And he down there right next to, AJ Green. He right next to, Wiggins. He right next to these guys. And he, they don't know, they want to, he's faster. He can squeeze through there, but they watching him. It's so many things, man, that it can make the defense way better than we would imagine. As long as they get in that playbook and as long as they have time to figure out and know what they're doing, it can be very confusing because they already are ball hawkish in the secondary. Travis Hunter pick you off in a second. Silver Craig to pick you off in a second. So imagine if you were able to get multiple guys and see, they're going to have to really know how to use their weapons, not just on the offensive side, but now specifically with the defense. We talked about they need to learn how to use the speed of the Dawson and the Dylan Edwards. And now we got Webster here and we got McHale here. We got so much speed and weapons. It's on you, coach, at this point. But on the defense, man, he has some toys. Because now it's not longer just, you put these guys out there who gonna play. Now you can mix it up where you really can confuse the defense, especially in certain situations and certain personnel who you playing against. You got all these DBs, all these different sizes and skills. You have, all these linebackers with speed. Now you really can use them. You really can use them because these guys could cover. You got Gant. He's coming back. You got Kennedy who's coming back. Everybody's saying, we don't have no linebackers. You forget about the Gant and Kennedy. They supposed to be the top guys last year. You got Bentley coming back. I don't think he's the greatest coverage guy, but the defensive coordinator is smart. Put him in blitz mode. He can blitz. He can run down with his head down. He can't read word for nothing, but he can run with his head down full speed and hit somebody. You use him when he's strong. Don't drop him into coverage. Use these guys with the speed. Trevor Woods could play linebacker in this game because he can go or come. As long as you know how to read. Doggone, he been learning how to read because he was blind as a bat last year. I'm not hating on these boys. Go get in the film room. Know how to read. Know the scheme, but know how to read because it's not a lot of things about what this coach is bringing. They have to know how to read. Sometimes if a block release on them, they can drop back into coverage. So it is some kind of choice-ish. Like them choice routes, it's some choice components if they're smart enough. And it'll just make them that much more dangerous. Because from what I see, just how they moving around and it's going to be very hard for a college quarterback to read. They was giving Pat Mahomes a hard time with this type of scheme. Imagine, we seen how they did Shador in his line last year. How when you seen like the UCLAs and a couple other teams who their defense was just tearing them up because you didn't know what they were doing. They were running a lot of twists, they were running a lot of different things where they were lining up in different places. Now we can do that. No stiff offense, no stiff defense. Now we have the guy who can bring it in and put Shiloh and move him around and even bring in, some of our other safeties, some of our other corners can come in and blitz from the outside more because we got them. We got some nickels. We got some people like Hodge. We got extra cornerbacks with speed. They can kind of play both. They can kind of come in and nickel. Again, it's all about personnel. It's going to be really interesting. I just wanted to say that. I saw that today because people have been trying to figure out like how we going to use, our talent that we have, who going to start and all of that. The way this defense set up, it won't even matter. Because they want to see what's coming. It'd be like kamikaze. You got a lot of depth in that safety and DB room. A lot of these guys can play multiple positions. They can come in nickel. They can play safety. You know, they can play corner. They played all these positions, and that, but they're physical. You can put a Stockmire now come on in, and you can use them. Like I say, with all that size, we can use them in the right situation. We can use them in the red zone. Like why we got little bitty. Why we got my little bitty Simon Craig out there when we got bigger safeties? See, so hopefully it just be smart. You got bigger, taller safeties in the red zone. He may cover better, but they're bigger and more suit for the run and the pass. The ball won't just go right over his fingertips like we seen at Colorado State when they were scoring. It went right over him. He's shorter. You know? We got other guys that can get in there and got the speed and the coverage ability. And at least in what we call the red zone. They're not covering nobody for 50 yards. So it's going to be interesting. I will hope they wouldn't show everything, so I don't expect to see like all the schemes and all of that in camp and in practice. I hope they wouldn't show that. But just know it's possible. And just know it's going to be really, really interesting. Again, this is Greg. Greg said it. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We watching this thing. We paying attention to all the breaking news. It's coming from so many places, getting insight. And I'll be the one. I make sure I share it with you if you see it nowhere else. So make sure y'all here. And y'all have a good one. I'll talk to y'all soon.